Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @Pless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. And for the SP 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. All right, here's my agenda for today, Friday, May 10th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data for today. There are also some Fed speakers today. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today, and then I'll take a look at the live market. When I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. I will note today I have quite a few setups to take a look at. If you're not interested in that, please let me know. There were a lot of great setups this morning. I want to cover whatever you want to see. Please let me know. I'm looking for your feedback. I'm trying to get through this introduction as quickly as possible. That's about 3 minutes. That's as fast as I can go. All right, so let's cover news items. First of all, Michigan consumer sentiment came out at 10 a.m. And let's take a look at the reaction in the SP 500. So this is the ES futures in Bookmap. Michigan consumer sentiment came out at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It came in much lower than expected, also lower than previous. One news source I saw said that was the lowest reading for consumer sentiment in the last 6 months. So in this case, bad news was bad news. So there was an initial rally this morning, consolidation. We'll take a closer look at this in a few minutes, and then a quick drop lower. And when I take a look at setups, again, I'll take a closer look at this. And there was a clear signal in the options market before this drop at 10 a.m. after the Michigan consumer sentiment. There were also a couple of Fed speakers out today, both with hawkish comments. All right, so that's the SP 500 futures. In Bookmap, news for the day, again, primarily Michigan consumer sentiment, much lower than expected than previous number. All right, so let's move on to positional analysis. I'm going to start with the SP 500. Again, this is the ES futures in Bookmap. I want to take a quick look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the SPX. I'm going to start with a one-day chart. So this is the underlying index for the SP 500, SPX. You've all seen this chart before, 5-month rally that began October 30th last year, ended on April 1st, and then the current rally began the Monday after April options expiration. All right, let's take a closer look at that. Let's go down to a one-day chart, 1 hour chart of SPX. And you can barely see it here. There's that green line showing that that trend line. Again, correction began April 1st. High for SPX around 52.65. Then this is the April expiration, Friday, April 19th. And the current rally began after the correction on the Monday after April expiration, April 22nd. And today, SPX finding resistance at the upper daily expected move. And note there was a comment, only SPX noted that the upper weekly expected move is lined up with the lower daily expected move. That's shown right here. The daily expected moves have been moving up all week. And now both essentially above the upper weekly expected move. All right, so let's talk more about these levels on the chart. So first of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. These levels remain in place for the entire week. And then the dashed blue line, essentially at the same level, right around 51.92. That is the lower daily expected move and the upper daily expected move. Again, that dashed blue lines. Resistance earlier today, and now SPX is trading right in the middle of that range. So again, that's based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. All right, the other levels on this chart are Spotgamma levels. These are levels provided to Spotgamma subscribers. They're based on gamma-weighted open interest. These are proprietary levels. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall is at 5,000. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support, and obviously that's not in play. For a long time, 5,000 was also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma, and now that level has moved up to 5,200. That's also the call wall. Call wall is the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. It did its job earlier this week, and now SPX trading in overbought territory above the 5,200 call wall. And that move up to the absolute gamma strike moving up to 5,200 kind of reinforces that level as a very important level. And then in between the put wall and the call wall, that's the volatility trigger at 5165. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, that tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. All right, so shifts in levels for the SPX. The volatility trigger did shift slightly lower, just from 5170 to 5165. And as I mentioned before, the absolute gamma strike shifted higher from 5,000, where it had remained for quite some time, all the way up to 5,200 now, reinforcing the importance of that level at 5,200. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart. I'm showing price action for 3 days. This is Wednesday, so the dark shaded portions are regular trading hours. Wednesday low right around 51.66. Rally continued yesterday. Gap up today. Now let's zoom in. SPX gapped up today. Did trade above the upper daily expected move, but found some resistance there. And note also this 52.25, that's a combo 4 level acting as resistance earlier today. All right, so quick move up. We'll see this in Bookmap. Quick move up. Turn break right around the upper daily expected move. Series of lower highs. And there's a little bit of consolidation in this area as well. I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then this break lower right at the 10 a.m. data release. And then now consolidation. All right, let's go to Bookmap. All right, so on Bookmap, same pattern, of course. Quick move up at the cash open, consolidation. In this case, just around the ES, upper daily expected move. I do calculate that separately from the SPX, daily expected move. Then a move lower. That level acting as resistance. Pull back to SPY 522. Resistance. And then a move lower, and all the way down and below the SPY 520 absolute gamma strike and call wall. So the S&P 500 now is trading above the 5200, the SPX 5200 call wall, and also the SPY 520 call wall. And for SPY, the absolute gamma strike also shifted higher to 520. And the volatility trigger shifted higher slightly. And the put wall shifted lower. All right, so just quickly, I do have my own cloud notes for the S&P 500. So I'm showing SPX levels. That is an SPX 5225 combo 4 level that I pointed out before. This cluster of levels here acting as resistance. That is a SPY combo level, basically the same level, just above that other white line, and then ES 5250. All right, so note also there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. That offset today, ES minus SPX, is right around 24. So I'm showing SPX 5225 at ES 5249. All right, so again, as usual, SPY levels and SPX levels in play, primarily SPY levels, 522 acting as resistance, and then this 520 level currently being in play. And we'll take a look at setups in just a few minutes. Let's go on to NASDAQ. All right, for NASDAQ, very similar pattern. Move up, consolidation, move down, consolidation. All right, levels in play. Again, the upper daily expected move and the QQQ 440 level, 444. All right, so speaking of QQQ, let's just take a quick look at the underlying index charts for NASDAQ, starting with QQQ. QQQ around this 444 level, acting as resistance. Note this 442 there, and Spotgamma levels in play for today, just round number levels. 442 acting as support earlier today before the cash open, and now resistance. So round numbers in play for the for QQQ, but no Spotgamma levels in play. And for QQQ, there was only one shift in level. The volatility trigger did shift slightly higher to 439. So QQQ still trading above its volatility trigger. Let's take a quick look at NDX. Here's the 18,100 level, acting as support. Let me check real quickly. 18,100. Whoops. Give me just a moment. $18,100, that's a large gamma 2 level. Looks like a very 18,100, large gamma 2. This is yesterday, acting as support multiple times, support again today. So that's NDX, 18,100, acting as support the last 2 days. Note for NDX, the call wall is up at 18,200. That level did move higher from yesterday. Put wall moved lower, so finally the put wall is now below the call wall. The put wall at 17,500. It had been above the call wall for quite some time. And then finally for NDX, the volatility trigger also moved higher. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so resistance at the upper daily expected move, QQQ 444. And now support at the 18,100 level. Oh, I have that noted as a large gamma 2. Okay. 18,000 large gamma 2 support. Now consolidation between QQQ 441 and 442 that did act as resistance earlier today. All right, so we'll talk about setups in just a few minutes. There were great setups in both the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and many stocks. All right, let's take a quick look at Gamma Notional, then we'll get to the setups. So just very quickly, Gamma Notional. This is I look at this to give me a sense of the expected trading range, volatility for the day. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, note all these numbers are positive. And for an index, Spotgamma assumes that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma. They have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. Typically in a positive gamma environment, I'm looking for trading range rather than large trending days and more mean reverting price action. And all these numbers did shift higher from yesterday. All right, let's move on to setups now. All right, so the levels that we've looked at, this Gamma Notional, That's all based on static data. So now let's move on to execution, look at real-time data. And I want to start with by taking a look at what options traders have been doing today. All right, so I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the HIRO signal, HIRO, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. So what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. And for any of the HIRO charts that we're going to take a look at, well, let me start with what this chart is showing. So this chart, the white line is showing price for SPX, and the purple line is the HIRO signal. Again, hedging impact real-time options, a rising HIRO signal indicates traders are taking positive delta options positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts, and a falling HIRO signal indicates they're taking negative delta positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. And hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. And Katinga asks, so positive gamma equal potential large ranging days? No. Positive gamma equals smaller trading range. Lower trading range, less volatility. In a negative gamma environment, I'm looking for more trending days, wider trading ranges. In a positive gamma environment, I'm looking for, again, mean reverting price action, range days rather than big trend days. All right, so this is the S&P 500 signal. And before I zoom in on this chart, I want to point out there are now two signals that we can take a look at for the S&P 500. The first, this is the traditional signal, the combined signal that has been available for some time. This is new. This has been around for a week or two, a couple of weeks. This is another combined signal, in this case, combining all S&P 500 index components. So all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 showing options trades and market maker hedging activity, and it provides an excellent signal. So let's zoom in on this, and we'll take a look at both. All right, so we're starting with the S&P 500 equities index. I'm going to zoom in on the morning. So what this is showing is right at the open, traders were aggressively taking positive delta positions. You're welcome, Katinga. So they're aggressively taking positive delta positions. Right around 9:50, they take their foot off the gas. Note that is 10 minutes before the data release of Michigan consumer sentiment. So already at 9:50, the HIRO signal was making lower highs. And that really just continued from 9:50 on till about 10:35. All right, let's take a look at now the more traditional S&P 500 signal. This one is even more clear. Again, traders taking positive delta positions from the cash open. 9:50, the HIRO signal sharply reverses. So really setting up a very nice divergence. Short at 10 after the data comes out. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap now. Go to the S&P 500. Going to zoom in. So here's that quick move up. Then consolidation from really about 940 to 10. Remember, around 950, traders started taking negative delta positions and pretty aggressively in the S&P 500. 10 a.m. data release comes out. Price drops sharply lower out of this consolidation. Pullback entry at SPY 552, 522. All right, so let's take a look at some of the confirmations on Bookmap. First of all, let's take a look at iceberg orders. Large traders were selling this move higher. They were fading this move higher with iceberg orders. That's shown by the on-chart indicator, also the falling light blue line. And that continues more aggressively after the data release. More large iceberg orders. Now this is decent size here, 1,160 contracts. All right, so we know that options traders were taking negative delta positions starting 10 minutes before the data release. Price was consolidating at a level, the upper daily expected move, that I expected to act as resistance. That should always be your first thought at the upper daily expected move. Resistance did its job. Price moves lower after the data release. Pullback entry at 522 and price moves lower. You can also just look at the volume dots here. Green volume dots are showing, first of all, the volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green dots are showing more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots, more sellers than buyers. So you can see after the 10 a.m. data release, the aggressive sellers really come in. Price drops lower. Also, sell stop orders help to fuel that move lower. That's shown by the falling yellow line in the subchart. Also the on-chart indicators. All right, so that was the short setup in the S&P 500. Then consolidation after that, all the way down to really about 11:30, or maybe 11 o'clock, then consolidation. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. Very similar pattern. Also resistance at the upper daily expected move. Now price continues to consolidate between 441 and 442 after going all the way down to that level that I mentioned before, the NDX 18,100. All right, let's take a look at Hero, see what options traders are doing. So for NASDAQ, there are also two signals. First of all, this is the signal for just the combined, this is the combined signal of NDX and QQQ. The more traditional signal. And then the newer signal, this has been around for a while, but still newer, the combined signal for the Mag 7. Stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. All right, let's zoom in. All right, so very similar to the signals that we saw for the S&P 500. For about the first 20 minutes, traders were aggressively taking positive delta positions. Took their foot off the gas right at 950. Hero started to make a series of lower highs, again setting up a great short at 10 a.m. after the data release. All right, now let's take a look at the NASDAQ signal, the combined signal for NDX. Just like the SP 500 signal, really more of a divergent signal here. Hero signal moving pretty sharply lower as price was consolidating until 10 a.m. So options traders in all four of these hero signals were ahead of the move lower. All right, any questions? If not, I'm going to move on to some stocks today. All right, so let's start with Apple. I'm going to zoom in on Apple. So note 185 is the call wall key gamma strike. It did act as resistance. The hero signal was a little bit choppy around that level, but the order flow in Bookmap pretty clear. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap. Let's go on to Apple. Remember, 185, call wall, key gamma strike. Right here, acting as resistance. Price drops lower, stays below VWAP. That's a light blue line. Pullback entries. So very nice short in Apple there, resistance at the 185. Call wall, key gamma strike. Note liquidity at that level. This is very typical of stocks. Well, let me see. So these orders typically come in at the cash open and remain at that level until they're filled. So there were some sellers at the cash open at 185. Again, this is the heat map and Bookmap showing a history of the limit orders. Those levels were consumed. Then they came in again, and now those are limit sell orders waiting at 185 to be filled. All right, let's move on to AMD. All right, very typical pattern, similar pattern to the indices, the SP 500 and NASDAQ. Quick move up, consolidation, and then a move lower at 10 a.m. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go on to AMD. Let's zoom in. Call wall up above at 157.50, and the hedge wall is down at 152.50. Looks like that did briefly act as support, then resistance. We'll take a closer look at that in just a minute. I'm going to shift to puts and calls. I'm going to have to jump. So I should have shown this before for the Mag 7. This is what was driving the Magnificent 7 earlier today. All right, so the rising orange line is showing calls. Rising orange line, traders are buying calls. Market makers take the opposite side. They sell calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. So that was clearly driving price up and down in the early morning. Let's go back to AMD now. And I jumped to avoid that auto zoom issue. All right, so in the morning, traders were buying calls. That's shown by the rising orange line. Again, when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And they were also selling puts. That's shown by the rising blue line. So up until about 9:45, the orange line and blue line were moving in the same direction, traders were taking positive delta positions. When both the blue line and orange line are moving the same direction, that's a very powerful directional indicator. And they first stopped selling puts. 9:50, they started buying puts. That's about when they stopped buying calls, started selling calls. So in this case, both the orange line and blue line moving in the same direction, down, and that is also, again, a very directional, very strong directional indicator. In this case, down or bearish. Note also there was a flow alert that came in, 9:50, indicating significant options activity. In this case, kind of a warning of a reversion in the hero signal. All right, let's go look at Bookmap. We'll zoom out. So remember, 152.50 is the hedge wall. That's this level right here. So that level has been acting as resistance after the move lower. All right, so that's AMD. Very similar pattern to the indexes. All right, let's take a look at Amazon. Rajveer wants to take a look at an Nvidia. That's on my list. I'll get to Nvidia. All right, does anyone have any objections to this? I'm trying to, this is what I think is the most interesting. I like to look at these setups. I like to look at, I'd like to review these setups to see what I did well, what I could have done better with these stocks, what I missed, and I find it very beneficial to review these setups. All right, so this is Amazon. And again, if anyone, if this is not what you want to see, please let me know. Looking for feedback. All right, so Amazon, 190 is the call wall, key gamma strike. Price couldn't quite make it up there. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to Amazon. Call buyers in the morning. After a little bit of consolidation, call buyers come in, quickly take their foot off the gas, and then they start selling calls 10 a.m. A little bit, in this case, a little bit after 10 a.m. Price moves lower. So mainly call buyers and call sellers driving price action in Amazon, and they could not make it up to the 190 level, the call wall, key gamma strike. All right, let's take a look at coin. And call sellers definitely driving price action today in Coinbase. So in this case, they were taking negative delta positions before the data release. Flow alert comes in. These lines were pretty flat to slightly negative, and then call sellers really came in at 10 a.m. Price breaks below the 210 key gamma strike hedge wall. And note that the 200 put wall is just below. Looks like price has not reached that level. Came pretty close, but call sellers definitely driving price. Let's take a look at Bookmap now. Go to Coinbase. And you can just see from cumulative volume delta here, that's shown on the subchart, this magenta line on the subchart, there are a lot of aggressive sellers. That's cumulative volume delta. That's definitely bearish. Also, you can just see all the magenta volume dots. Again, showing aggressive sellers. That's more sellers than buyers. Pullback entry just before 10 a.m. So Coinbase started to move lower before 10 a.m. This line, this is the correlation tracker in Bookmap. And I'm showing correlation to the Bitcoin futures. That's what I have over here. So to use this correlation tracker, first of all, you have to subscribe to the instrument that you want to add as a correlation, and then you just add that as a correlation. Here I'm using Bitcoin futures. You could use spot Bitcoin if you want, if you're connected to one or more of the crypto exchanges. I'm just using Bitcoin futures. All right, so there's a very strong correlation between Bitcoin and Coinbase. So after the 10 a.m. data release, Coinbase was already drifting slightly lower and then started to move pretty sharply lower after the consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. and Coinbase followed as traders were selling calls and Coinbase moved lower and aggressive sellers were moving Coinbase lower. All right, so 200 again is the put wall, and Coinbase has not quite made it down to that level. Let's go back to Hero. All right, so this 210 level, that did act as support earlier before the data release, and the price broke pretty sharply below that after 10 a.m. All right, let's take a look at Meta. All right, for Meta, 470 is the hedge wall put wall. And as the put wall, it did its job, acted as support. All right, let's go take a look at Hero. All right, one thing that I want to do, I'm going to close full screen. Note that I have this is my watch list in the stock screener below the Hero chart, and I have ranked my watch list by this Hero signal. So I'm going from weakest to strongest, and what I'm doing is comparing what this Hero signal is doing is comparing the Hero signal today with the last 30 days and last 5 days. So the 30 days is is comparing the Hero signal today for the last 30 days. And the colored portion is comparing the Hero signal today for the last, the colored portion again is comparing the Hero signal today with the last 5 days. So the Hero signal for Meta here is about at the lower end of the range for the last 30 days, and also the lower than the last 5 days. All right, so let's go to Meta now. So earlier today, Meta was at the top of this list. Meta and Google were at the top of the list earlier today. So let's go to Meta. Zoom back in to full screen. So a couple things to note here. First, unlike the Mag 7, for example, and some of the stocks we've looked at, the hero signal from the open, puts were flat, calls moving slightly lower, flow alert comes in just right around 9:35 to get your attention, and both signals start moving lower before the 10 a.m. data release. So just 2 or 3 minutes before the data release, hero signals start to move lower. So let's go back to Bookmap now. Note again, 470 is the hedge wall, put wall. Yeah. We can zoom in on this. All right, for Meta, we know that the up until just before 10 a.m., hero signal for the puts pretty flat, slightly lower for the calls. Price breaks below this trend line right at 10 a.m. Also VWAP, shown by the light blue line, and moves lower all the way down. Primary target at the 470 hedge wall, put wall. Note again, all the liquidity at that level. These are limit buy orders in this case. Looking to buy Meta at 470. So the put wall did its job, acting as support. All right, let's see what options traders are doing. So as price reached that 470 level, the put buyers took their foot off the gas, started selling puts, and then just a few minutes later, the call sellers took their foot off the gas and started buying calls. So in this case, earlier after 10 a.m., blue line, orange line moving the same direction. Meta moves lower, finds support at 470 as the options traders take the foot off the gas. And now Meta moves higher, now consolidating as the orange line and blue line flatten out. All right, let's take a look at Microsoft now. All right, so again, I hope everyone finds this interesting. I do. This is very helpful to me to review these setups. All right, so before I take a, let's go to Bookmap. Zoom in on this. Let's go to Bookmap. Take a look at Microsoft. All right, so first of all, for Meta, I'm looking at this. I'm going to move the widgets over here. I've got the price market pulse price change indicator for Meta, Microsoft, and Nvidia. These indicators do make a noise. I have them all muted. All right, so let's move on to Microsoft. And I want to give you an example of how you can use this to time your entries. All right, so what I'm going to look at, I have screenshots. It's just easier to take a look at screenshots that I zoomed in, took earlier today of this area right here, looking for a short at VWAP. All right, so we'll take a look at the big picture. I want to zoom in and show you how you can use all this information for a short. In this case, it just turned out to be a short scalp. All right, so let's start. Let's take a look at these screenshots. I'm going to start with Hero. Actually, let me zoom back so we can get a time reference. So this move up starts right around 11:09 and then reverses lower 11:36. All right, so we have the time reference there. Now let's go to, first take a look at the screenshot of Hero. So we know overall the Hero signal This is the total hero signal for Microsoft, was trending lower. So 1109, 1135, and I'm going to move these widgets back out of the way. Move them over to my other screen. All right, so we know that the hero signal was trending lower. Now let's go take a look at Bookmap. So I'm looking for a short here with hero signal, the hero signal trending lower. Now we'll take a look at Bookmap, the screenshot of that area that I just indicated. All right, so starting right around 1109, 1110, Microsoft was making a series of higher lows. Hero signal was trending lower. I'm looking for a short. And I'm waiting. Do I want to take a short here? No, not ready yet. Not up to VWAP. No, not quite up to VWAP. Here, yes, I'm looking for a short now at potential resistance, somewhere between VWAP and this liquidity at 414. All right, so now I'm watching. The only thing missing from this was the cumulative volume delta that's shown by the rising blue line continue to trend higher. I guess all you could say here is the CVD did trend, flatten out. So what I'm looking at now is this price change. So this seems to be a leading indicator to me. I'm still getting used to this. So price change moves up. Green area shows extreme. No, I don't want to take a short yet. Not up to VWAP. Again, the extreme green. Nope, not quite up to VWAP. Now I see another green area, extreme. Yes, price is up at VWAP. Now, this price change indicator starts to diverge lower. So by 1135, this price change indicator was already making a lower high. There's your short entry. Some magenta volume dots coming in. Price moves lower at VWAP and moves all the way down to this area. This is the previous low. Also note the liquidity in the order book here. And these were limit buy orders. They did pull right before Microsoft came out, came down to that level. Too bad, that would have been a good long. All right, let me check for questions. All right, Rajveer says, absolutely very helpful setup. Thank you so much. Thanks for the comment. I really appreciate that. All right, Caesar, hello, welcome, glad you're here. Ask, have I approached this week differently with the incredibly light volume? Not really. I think I've found plenty of good setups today. So that has not necessarily been a factor today. Also, do you look at the balance of the order book on stocks to see where the liquidity is to decide to take a trade? Not really to decide to take a trade, but definitely for targets. So my target for this setup, really two targets. So short at VWAP, two targets, first the round number level, and then this liquidity that lined up with the previous low right there, about 35 minutes prior to that. So yeah, I guess I do look at the stacking and pulling of liquidity. It's not as I don't think it's as prevalent as it is in let's say the S&P 500. All right, so that's the setups that I wanted to go over Microsoft. So there's that. There's that low. That was previous lows. And again, too bad they pulled their order. That would have been a good long. And long I would only take after this trend break and then a retest of VWAP, heading back up to the 415 call wall. All right, let's go to Hero. All right, so right around 11:45, traders started selling puts. So the blue line steepens a little bit. Then right around noon, they started buying calls again. All right, let's take a look at Nvidia. I've only got a few minutes left. So Nvidia call buyers definitely driving price higher in the morning above the call wall key gamma strike. And they did take their foot off the gas right around 9:50. So the call signal definitely moving lower before the 10 a.m. data release. Price moves lower. All right, so since starting around 10:30, traders started selling puts and buying calls. Now price is consolidating right around that 900 call wall key gamma strike. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go on to Nvidia. And I'm looking at the price change indicator in Nvidia as well. It's a very good indicator of, in this case, let's take a look at. So we know after 10:30 or so, traders stop taking aggressive negative delta positions. So looking for long in this case. These extremes, the red extremes, are all lining up with this price change indicator, indicating good pullback entries. Now there are more extreme readings as well. That's where drawing a trend line like this comes into play, comes to help, or looking at a moving average or something. I use trend lines. All right, so there we go. Pullback entries to the trend line confirm with the reading on the price change indicator as well as the hero signal. And we can take a look at Tesla. All right, here you go, WRB. Here's Tesla. A lot of magenta volume dots today, a lot of aggressive sellers. Cumulative volume delta dropping. And let's go take a look and see what options traders are doing. I'm going to shift to the total signal. Go to Tesla. All right, so initially move lower, support at the 170 put wall, key gamma strike. Aggressive buyers come in, options trades, and then a sharp move lower, 10 a.m. Looks like it was after a little bit after 10 a.m. Flow alert comes in. And now Tesla trading below its put wall. All right, so pattern after 10 a.m. again, drop lower. Options traders take negative delta positions. They take the foot off the gas and price consolidates. So in this case for Tesla, it looks like this move lower happened a little bit after, happened a little bit after the 10 a.m. data release. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, here's one bullish setup today. Taiwan Semiconductor did AMD, Caesar, I already looked at AMD. We can take a look again. All right, so one bullish setup here today in Taiwan Semiconductor. They did release news about April revenue increasing. All right, so bullish setup. We'll go back to AMD and we'll wrap it up with that. So here you go. Caesar, AMD, very similar to the indexes, S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Move up, aggressive buyers, and sharp reversal lower, 10 a.m. after the data release. And we'll go back to Hero. Go to AMD. Move up, flow alert, get your attention. In this case, warning for mean reversion. And before the data release, Hero signal already making lower highs. Yeah, a great flow alert, very timely. After this move, 15 minutes into the move after the cash open, acting as a mean reverting signal. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Please let me know if this is something that you want to see, if I covered too many setups. The reason I'm doing this, again, is this helps to learn what I could have done, better, what I missed, what I did well. This time of day, there's not typically much price action. So I like to review these setups. Again, looking for feedback. If you want to see something different, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. You can post in the Options-Doug chat channel. Send me a direct message if you have any comments at all. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks. Bye.